Hi, welcome back to African Perspective. My name is Nelda, and today we're going to be talking about debt in Africa. So, I have been meaning to talk about this for a very long time, so I'm a little bit excited, a little bit saddened, but we're just going to get into it. How much debt is really in Africa? What is going on? Why do African leaders just keep borrowing money as if we own the world? And is this money even being used for Africa's benefit? Because, shocker, we have $1.8 trillion in debt. 1.8 trillion. I just want you to let that number sink in. I just want you to let that number just marinate because that is how much money Africa has borrowed, and we're still the poorest continent in the world. Our kids are still the least educated. We still have the most diseases to fight. We have the worst reputation in the world, by the way. We have a huge number of immigrants, so people leaving the country. We have the most civil conflicts going on in the world. So what exactly is we have borrowed $1.8 trillion. Where did this money go? We're going to find out today in this episode. So if that is something that you're interested in watching, stick around, and I hope you like the episode. Debt in itself is not a bad idea. So this is true on the personal level, it's true on the societal level. Borrowing money from somebody else, taking a loan out, is not a bad thing. As a matter of fact, if you look at all the millionaires, the billionaires in the world, a lot of them actually have a lot of debt. It's a good thing to use somebody else's money to propel your future. But there's a caveat. Debt becomes a bad thing when you're, one, mismanaging the money that you've borrowed, and two, when you are borrowing more than you can repay. So we're going to look at those two factors today when we're analyzing why it is that African leaders are going around the world borrowing money from the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, borrowing money from the World Bank, borrowing money from China, France, Saudi Arabia. We're just going around looking like beggars, and honestly, it's embarrassing at this point. Speaking of embarrassing, the top 10 African countries with the most debt. Egypt has $103 billion in debt. South Africa, 58.8. Angola, 45.8. Morocco, 45.6. Sudan, 37.8. Nigeria, 32.5. Kenya, 30.5. Tunisia, 27.1. Ethiopia, 25.8. Ghana, 22.6. Embarrassing behavior. Like I said again, it's not wrong to have debt. However, you're going to understand why I'm saying this is embarrassing behavior, because these countries, some of them on this list, countries like Egypt, for example, Nigeria, Morocco, South Africa as well, they're doing pretty well in terms of GDP. However, these countries cannot justify this amount of money. Speaking of which, when we look at the debt to GDP ratio, so we're comparing the gross domestic product, how much, not value, but how much money the country has, how much money the country is making compared to how much they have in debt. There are a lot of countries that have weird debt to GDP ratios. Sudan, for example, which is on the other list as well, 239%, or even it's estimated between 239 to 280% of Sudan's GDP is debt. Basically, they have more debt than they have GDP. Am I crazy, or is this crazy? Because those are the only two options here. When you look at Cabo Verde, I spoke about Cape Verde in one of my videos. I'll link it somewhere in this world of the screen. But 110% for a tiny country like Cape Verde, by the way, they have like 600,000 people. 110% of their GDP debt. The other thing is, another country here is Mozambique, 92%. Republic of Congo, 91 to 95%. Egypt, 88%. Ghana, 82%. South Africa, 75%. This is a lot of money for you people to be getting. And the other thing is that I'm just thinking about this right now, is when these leaders are going out there to borrow money, what are they giving these lenders for them to be like, oh yeah, we're going to just rain money on you people? What are they giving them? Because we're going to talk about that shortly. Because one, I'm saying because a lot of times, but it's fine. But one, Africans are not seeing the benefit of this money. They're not. I'm an African, so we're not. I'm a Tanzanian. Speaking of which, I'm just going to look up real quick Tanzania debt, because I don't even know how much money Tanzania has gone around borrowing. But I'm just waiting for ChatGPT. It's ChatGPT there. ChatGPT is going to tell me real quick. Then, I was talking crap about other countries, but Tanzania was just below the list. The total national debt of Tanzania is 34.3 billion. How are we going to repay this? Oh, this is stressing me out. How are we going to repay this? Our debt to GDP ratio is moderate. It's roughly 32 to 35% of Tanzania's GDP, which is not too bad, but it's very bad because if you cut Tanzania as well as its neighboring countries, the Kenyas, the Ugandas, DRC, Africa as a continent is poor. I'm gonna say this until we become rich because we are poor as a continent. Our leaders are borrowing money, and I'm so confused because I'm like, how are we gonna repay this? How are we gonna repay this? No wonder we're getting poorer and poorer because what is happening is, yeah, African leaders are going out there, they're borrowing money from the World Bank, and then they can't repay that money. So what they do is they go to, I don't know, Saudi Arabia. They borrow money from Saudi Arabia so that they can reduce their debt to the IMF. But now they have two debts. They have one from the IMF, they have one from Saudi Arabia. And they're like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to borrow money from China. They go to China, they borrow money from China. They pay a little bit to the IMF, a little bit to Saudi Arabia. Then now they have three debts. They have IMF, they have Saudi Arabia, and they have China. So over time, this puts us in a very bad position. It's like it puts us in a terrible position because now we have three different entities that can essentially just run us like puppets. No wonder people are complaining that African leaders are puppets because of course you're going to be a puppet. You're relying on these people. You've taken their money. You can't repay it because you didn't read the contract properly, or you read the contract but you're selling your country away. And now if they ask you for minerals at a reduced price, you're gonna give them minerals at a reduced price because you can't pay them back their money. If they ask you for, I don't know, they want to run your port, I'm not gonna name countries, but if they ask you to run your port for you, quote unquote for you, but they want to run the port so they can get the benefits of the exports and the imports, you're not gonna say no because you have their money. You have their money. If they come into your country and they want your natural gas, they want your gold, they want your forests for carbon crediting, you're gonna give them that because you have their money. So over time, this is affecting our policy decisions. This is affecting our global power. We have no power in the global stage. We have no power. Every time big decisions have to be made in the world, we have no say. We're weak in the eyes of the world. And this is pissing me off so much because when are we gonna learn? When are we gonna learn? I'm so tired of African leaders just going out there and embarrassing the rest of us because, I mean, I wanted to say not that I would do a better job. I think I would do a pretty good job if I was a leader in an African country. I think I'd make a really good president for Tanzania, by the way, while we're on that topic. But this is just very frustrating because we're losing our sovereignty. We are losing our sovereignty. No wonder every single day, like, for example, I'm not comfortable with the fact that every time we have a big project that we need to build in Tanzania, we go to the Chinese. I love the Chinese. I have nothing against them. They're the majority in the world. Or is it the Indians? I haven't really kept up with that race. But every time Tanzania wants to build something, we go to the Chinese. And in my mind, I'm just like, what? The Chinese are not that generous. These people are at the top of the capitalist game. What are we giving them for them to be like, yeah, we're going to give Tanzania this money? What are African leaders giving Chinese governments or the Chinese government for them to just be cashing out on us? This is getting very suspicious. I'm not happy with this at all. So that is number one. But number two as well, when they're getting these loans, if you don't have a loan, maybe you might not understand this, but when you take a loan, you don't pay back the exact amount. I don't know, maybe there are loans that are like that, but as far as I'm concerned, anytime you take a loan, there's an interest. So you pay a little bit more than what you took out. And servicing these loans, which is just basically paying back the loans, is costing African nations 27% of their GDP. So a country like Ghana, for example, in 2022, I was looking at my notes here. In 2022, Ghana spent over 50% of their government revenue to paying back debts. That is more than their health budget and their education budget combined together. So imagine you were setting the country, I don't know, people in the country are working really hard. They're bringing in more money. The farmers are working really hard. They're exporting more than they usually do. I don't know, students are sending more money back home. Like the government is earning more in revenue, but you're using 50% of it to pay back debt that you took that people don't even see the advantage of. Crazy work. Absolutely crazy work. If you look at the other thing is, it goes back to the contrast. I'm a skeptical person overall, but at the same time, I'm not happy with things that I'm hearing in the streets, in the political streets, not the dating streets. In the political streets, about African leaders selling away their people. Because this is just like colonialism 2.0. We're selling away our people People are leaders are selling ports. They're selling trees, because I don't know if I can say this. No, I'll keep this to myself until I'm bold enough to say it, because I'm a little bit scared of saying this. But I've heard somewhere in the political streets that I can't say it. I can't say it. I don't want to get in trouble. However, all I can say is, why are we not angry about this? Because I'm personally very angry. I don't know what to do, but I'm very, very angry, and I'm just ranting for this entire video. I have no structure whatsoever. I just have my little notes on my side of my computer and a few numbers here that I've looked at that shocked me, because I'm just not happy about this. I'm not happy about this at all, because we're getting the shorter end of the stick. We're getting the short end of the stick. We're being bullied in the global stage because we are borrowers, and we should stop. I don't even know. We should stop. I think we should just stop borrowing money, because there is no justification for us to be borrowing money. So I'll tell you why I think there is no justification to borrow money. I'm going to look up the tax amounts in African countries, because I think, wait, how much money do governments charge their people? Because I'm trying to think, maybe this is why I just need to go to school and learn policy, like proper policy research, because I'm trying to wrap my head around this. The governments of African governments take in a lot of money from their people. And in my mind, I'm just like, where does that money go? Where does it go? So for example, it varies widely across 36 African countries. I know there's 54. The average tax ratio, tax to GDP ratio is 16%. So top tax collectors are countries like Seychelles, 32%, Tunisia, 32%, Eritrea, 30%. Eritrea, 30%? Seriously? South Africa, 29.1%. Personal income tax rates also differs. Countries on the higher end are South Africa takes 45% of somebody's income. 45%. Senegal, 43%. Zimbabwe, 41.2%. Congo, 40%. Mauritania, Uganda takes 40% income tax. Uganda is so poor. Where does that 40%? I know Museveni and his wife apologized recently, but oh my gosh, where are they taking the money? This is just the amount of money that they're taxing their own people for earning income. Where are they taking the money? Where are you taking the money from all the exports of minerals? Where are you taking the money that you're making from exporting oil? Yeah, where are you taking it? From the uranium, from tourism. Africa is visited quite a lot. Tanzania, I have a personal beef with Tanzania because I'm Tanzanian, but the average Tanzanian is struggling. People are struggling. People don't have money to eat, or they're eating the same food every day. People don't have, and we're talking about like, technology. Africa is behind in technology. Of course we're behind in technology. Our stomachs are empty, so our brains are also going to be empty. We don't have time to think. So we're borrowing. I'm not going to take credit for this. African leaders are borrowing money, and they're not using it for their people. And they're taking even more money from their people through income tax. Oh my god, this is so frustrating. But that's the video. Honestly, that's the video. I just wanted to rant about that, because it's not like I didn't know. I knew about it, but I didn't know the extent. And I just had a look. I was like, let me just have an overview of how much debt this continent is under. And it's disappointing, because how are we even going to dig ourselves out of $1.8 trillion? How? I can't even think about this. It's stressing me out. But yeah, that's the video today. If you enjoyed my rant, subscribe to the channel. And I promise I'm usually calmer than this. But thank you so much for watching, and you'll see me in future videos. Bye.